Alright guys, so we're going to start on our custom Ajax library in the next lecture, but I just wanted to go over something called a callback function. And I want to do this because we're going to be using callback functions in the library. So I wanted to go over them and just give you a quick example of how they work. Now, we've dealt with callbacks quite a bit already, even if you don't know that. A callback is simply a function that's passed in as a parameter to another function, and then it's ran inside the function body. So whenever we did a for each on an array, when we do array.forEach and then we pass in function, that's actually a callback. Now that particular callback is not asynchronous, meaning that it does stop anything else from happening until it's done, but it is in fact a callback. Okay, we have synchronous and asynchronous callbacks. Another example is set timeout, which we've used quite a bit. That takes in a callback function, which actually is asynchronous. So things can happen while that's running, okay, if it's asynchronous. Now, we've used them, but we haven't actually created them or saw how they're used behind the scenes or in the actual function. So what I want to do here is mimic the actions of creating a blog post on a server or through an API or database. We're only using just a hard-coded array, but we're going to pretend that it's from a server, and also getting those blog posts back. Now, in some cases, the server may return the post before your new post is added, and your new post won't be included. Okay, so even if you create the post, you run the create post function before get posts, that could happen. So I'm going to show you that situation using set timeout. Okay, we're going to use that to kind of mimic the server response. And I'll show you how that kind of can mess things up, and then I'm going to show you how we can use a callback to fix that. Alright, so what I have here in my index.html is just our basic sandbox. We have no HTML, no body at all. We're just including our app.js. Okay, we're working strictly in our app.js for this example. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a variable called posts, and this is going to mimic our server, okay, and our server and database. So we have a couple posts, let's say title, post 1, and body. This is post 1. Alright, so we'll go ahead and just create one more. So this is post 2. Okay, so there's our post, and now we're going to have two functions. One is going to be create post, and then we'll have another down here called get posts. Okay, so create post. Now I'm going to mimic the server response time with set timeout. So we're going to say set timeout, which takes in a callback itself. So this function here is actually a callback, and we're just going to say post.push. Okay, remember we can add on to an array with push, and it'll pass in posts, which will get passed in here as a parameter. And let's say that that's going to happen after 2 seconds, so 2000 milliseconds. All right, now get posts is what we want to use to actually get our posts and display it inside of the browser here. So let's do another set timeout. All right, and we're going to pass in a function, and let's set this one for 1 second, so 1000. Okay, and then inside here what we'll do is let's create a variable called output, and then let's loop through our posts. So we'll use for each, which takes in a callback, and we'll say each iteration it'll be post, so we can then do output plus equals. We're going to append on to output, and we'll just wrap it in an li, and in here we'll just say post.title. All right, and then we just want to output it into the browser here. So I'm not going to use any selectors or anything, any get element by ID. I'm just going to simply say document.body inner HTML and we'll set that to output. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that. Now nothing's going to happen yet because we haven't called these functions. Now what we want to do is create the post, and then we want to call get posts after that. Okay, so we're going to do this so that hopefully when we get the post, the new one is included in with it. So let's say create posts. I'll create posts, sorry, and it's going to take in an object, and we'll just say title. Let's say post 3 body. We'll say this is post 3. Okay, so create post, and then we're going to call get posts. All right, so let's go ahead and save this, and it'll run. And we get post 1 and post 2. Okay, where is post 3? Well, the way that it worked is the server took 2 seconds to create the post, and it took 1 second to get the post. Okay, so it got the post before this was actually created. All right, so the way we did this is in a synchronous way. Okay, so now let's do this in an asynchronous way using callbacks. So I'm going to actually copy both of these functions. Okay, I'm going to copy those, and then I'm going to comment all of these out. All right, and then I'm going to go down here and paste these in. So what we can do is with create post, we can pass in a callback, okay, and we can call this whatever we want. A lot of times you'll see CB as well, and then we just want to go under where we did the post here, where we added on the post, and we want to call that function. So we'll just say callback, and it's going to be a function. Now what we can do is go down here and we can call create post. Actually, I'll just copy create post, and then create post now takes in our post, which is this object here, but it also takes in a callback function. So we can now pass in as a function get posts. So what will happen is when create post is called, it'll call get post right here, okay, before the server actually ends, before this 2 seconds or within that 2 seconds. All right, so now if we go ahead and save and let it run, it'll take 2 seconds, and then we get post 3. Okay, post 3 is now included in the get posts. We did this asynchronously with a callback function. Now I understand that this may be confusing. Callbacks confused the shit out of me when I first started learning about them, but when we build our Ajax library, you're going to see how valuable they are in a real situation. But essentially what they are is just a function that can be passed in to another function and then called within that function. Okay, so that's how that works. So in the next video, we're going to get into building a easy HTTP, which will be a custom object-oriented Ajax library.